Welcome all my movie maniacs to the final cut. Yes, independent horror film is once again on the chopping block today. Possession is on the platter in the form of The Devil's Hour, where we have a story of a pastor and a teacher who are very prominent in their community, but they both share a dark secret. They are enemies of an ancient demonic force. Well, when that ancient demonic force wants to come back and exact some revenge for something that they did in their past, he decides to use one of them to destroy both of them. And we see how they try to deal with this in The Devil's Hour. Joshua Bruning, who co-wrote this with Jason Anderson, and Joshua also directed this story, gives us an interesting take on the whole possession angle of horror. It's a genre that's been done many times, and here I thought it was interesting because it really has a lot of religious meat to it. There's a lot of religious themes and philosophy and such throughout this film, a little more so than what we're used to seeing in an indie horror film, especially an indie horror film about possession. Yes, now I know demonic possession is religious, so of course you're going to have that, but here it is really thick in this film, almost as if it was a faith-based horror. And I'm not saying that to be that it's a negative, it's something that I noticed, and that kind of took me aback a little bit of just how strong these religious themes and philosophies were explored in the film, and I appreciate that quite a bit. Now, Pastor Percy Pullman is played by Bill Cooper, and I enjoyed his performance quite a bit. This guy who's struggling with this dark secret, trying to figure out how to handle this demonic force, and all this time, figuring out how to defeat it, as well as dealing with problems that he's having with his daughter, who is played by Susan Chambers. And I love the relationship between those two. It felt authentic, felt real, really enjoyed the chemistry between these two. And Raymond Fisk is played by H.T. Altman, and he does a fantastic job in here. And this guy who isn't quite control of himself, and he's scared, and trying to get through his own life and deal with what's happening to him. Now, there's special effects in here, and some of the special effects look really good, specifically dealing with like when the demon kind of shows up a bit in a person. I loved the look of that, and that looked really well done. But then there were a few effects, especially near the end, where the film does show its budget. It is shot on a lower budget, so some of the production value that many people are used to watching, it may be a little bit rougher for them to watch. The audio in some spots was a little bit rough, I will say, but I enjoyed the performances and the story that they brought to the table in The Devil's Hour. So if you're a fan of lower budget indie horror films, especially about possession, you may want to check out The Devil's Hour. If you have seen it, please leave your comments down below. Love to hear your thoughts on it. Please also check out our Patreon if you haven't already. Just for a little bit, you get a whole lot of content, new stuff going up all the time, and the more patrons I get there, the more I can provide for you here. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, keep that ticket stub.